Hey guys, it's Filipina here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I didn't get to talk about yet. I've been away from YouTube for a while. So today's story is about me and my daughter. So yeah, I was pregnant. This was my first pregnancy. So if you want to see what happened, then keep on watching. So long story short, I can't make this from this fall up until now, explaining everything. So I had my last period in September. I stopped smoking October 21st, which is also my work anniversary. But I took a pregnancy test the day after on October 22nd, and I didn't think it was gonna be positive, so I was like, there's nothing to worry about. I was like, maybe I just, because my period was irregular anyway, so I figured it wasn't something to worry about. But come to find out, it was. And I'll insert a clip of when I found out. Oh my God. And also a clip of my husband finding out. Because I hadn't started in a week.
Are you serious?
I swear to God. I was like, if you want to see all of the announcements I had of revealing it to my family, his family, and my best friend, then I'll upload those later. The confirmed pregnancy at the doctor's office was November 6th, and they didn't do an ultrasound then. They did it had to be like a week later or 2 weeks later. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but anyway, so they did that. And at first they told me at the confirmation visit that I was due on June 20th, which was Father's Day. But when I came back 2 weeks later, they did the ultrasound and said that I was actually due July 1st. So they changed it. Everything was fine. They said everything looked good. Nothing was wrong. My blood pressure was perfect. I was actually losing weight my whole pregnancy. I didn't gain any until now. But yeah, so I was, I believe, 8 weeks pregnant on my first ultrasound. And then they had me come a second time at my 12 weeks, and I have an ultrasound for that one. And that one was actually by accident because they couldn't find her heart rate, and they had to do an ultrasound, and they ended up finding it. And I got pictures for that also. Let me do my time frame again, sorry. So I found out I was pregnant October 22nd, did the confirmation visit on November 6th, the 12-week ultrasound, December something, I don't remember the date at the moment. And then I did the gender reveal, which was supposed to be for my next appointment when I was 16 weeks. And that was on January 15th. But I was late to that appointment, so they wouldn't see me. And then I had the gender reveal the next day. I went the week after. For my initial 16 weeks appointment, but it ended up being my 17 week. And they told me everything was good, but they didn't do an ultrasound. They just did the baby Doppler thing and got her heart rate, which she had a heart rate. She was fine. But I wish they had done an ultrasound, and I don't understand why doctor's offices only do two, like, you're only allowed to get 2 ultrasounds when this is a first pregnancy and you don't know how the person's pregnancy is going to go, even though it looks like it's going good. I don't know. But anyway, so it's Friday, January 29th. I got off work, went to my husband's work. Then we come home and I was gonna cook dinner, and I felt like I had to have a bowel movement, and I went to go to the bathroom, couldn't go. I went trying to go a second time, couldn't go. And then the third time I tried to go, I thought to myself, I was like, well, maybe if I strain a little bit, I'll go. And as soon as I strained a little, I felt pressure down in that area, but it wasn't from the back, if you know what I mean. And, well, I was freaking out and didn't know what it was. So I had my husband look at it. He told me it looked black. And I thought, oh God, what is that? So he takes me to the emergency room. It's about 40 minutes from where we live. And they take me back immediately, thank God. And the doctor goes to look at me after I've done had all checking her heart rate and all this and that, whatever. Got an IV in and all that. He gets a speculum and he goes to check me down there. Well, he goes, oh, and as soon as he said that, I knew something wasn't right. He said, oh, I can see your umbilical sac, or umbilical cord sac, or something like that. And I'm thinking, my what? I'm in the medical field and I've never heard of this happening. So I was like, okay. And so he goes to get in contact with L&D, Labor and Delivery Department, and they have me sent over there because there's literally nothing else he can do, being that he's the emergency department. They sent me there, and then they just asked me a gazillion questions. A lot of stuff happened, like they got my medical room number wrong or something and had to re-check me in, and a bunch of stupid shit. Excuse my language. They put me in Trendelenburg position, which is where your feet is up and your head is down. And she's like, there's nothing that we can physically do. Just, we can put you in this position to see if gravity can do its thing and pull the membranes back down into my body. So I said, okay. So overnight, we stay overnight. But in the nighttime, I was hurting so bad because I'm normally a side sleeper and I had to sleep on my back, and that was killing me. Oh my God. But the daytime comes and the lady checks me. Oh, also, they had to put a catheter in me because I was hurting so bad that I couldn't pee, but I know I had to pee. And, well, they had a catheter in me. That was the night before. And this is the next morning, and the doctor tells me that since when my bladder was full, it was kind of helping a little keep her up, because of the way the anatomy is of the bladder and the uterus. But since it, relaxed and it was emptying my bladder out, the situation had gotten worse, and so that I guess the membranes had went down some more. They tell me that normally there's I'm not going to say exactly where, but there's a facility that we could transfer you to that normally, they're like a specialist, so they normally do stitches in the cervix to like prolong the pregnancy pretty much, or like to keep the baby inside. And they said that I ended up having a incompetent cervix. Never heard that term in my life, even though I've had sex ed and everything else. They've never talked about that. And the doctor told me that my situation was a rare thing, which I believe because I've never heard of it. Basically, my cervix had opened up too early, and the sac that was holding her in was going down into my vaginal canal. So they said they could transfer me to this place, but they don't think they're going to do anything because the sac is so far down that if they go to stitch it, that they might break my water and I would go into labor. Well, 10:30 that morning, they tell me that I'll be leaving within the hour to be transferred to this other facility. And I sit there and I wait, and it's 12:30 now. They still haven't showed up yet. So I'm sitting there waiting and waiting. I'm like, am I ever gonna be sent to this place? But anyway, my husband's going and talking to him, whatever, you know. Like, when are they coming? And then at 2 o'clock, they're there. They don't tell us they're there, but they are. And then my husband is like, well, can she leave or whatever? And they had told me at 10:30 that they were getting my paperwork together for me to sign off on it or whatever to be transferred. Well, they tell me that they've been there for like the past 10 minutes or so or whatever, or however long, and that I can't leave until I sign it. I was like, I've been waiting for this for how long? I signed the papers, they transfer me. I'm like in and out, sleeping and awake, in the ambulance on the way to this other facility, which is about 2 hours, 15 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes away from where I was. And I get there and they do the same thing, put me in the position that I was in. The only thing it really did was just give me a headache. Then they wouldn't let me eat because they didn't know if I was going to be having that procedure that next following morning. And they basically, I think they basically gave me a sense of false hope because the doctor had told me, you know, which I've never heard of this thing before, so, you know, she's like, well, you know, since I was 18 weeks pregnant, that my child was not of viable gestational age for them to treat her in the NICU. They had to be, they told me, they said that she had to be at least 22 weeks at the earliest, but usually around 24 weeks, and that she was too small and too young to be treated, and that if we were told differently, that she was sorry. And I mean, no, I wasn't told differently because I've never heard of this. That night, she also tells me that she looks me dead in my face and says, well, I don't want you to think that, you know, this is a complete loss. Like, she's like, I don't think this is a complete loss or whatever. So I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, so we have a chance, you know, maybe they can do something. But then that night, they had me sign the consent for the procedure just in case. But then she said, well, since I was contracting really bad, didn't realize I was contracting, I thought I was just cramping, I can't have the procedure done, because if I have the procedure done and I'm still contracting, the stitches would still just rip through my cervix. So there's basically no point in doing that, or they could just make my water break. And at this point, I still had the catheter in. This was still the 30th. And then they take it out and they realize that I'm not getting the procedure, so they tell me I can eat. And it's like midnight, so now it's the 31st, Sunday, January 31st. And so I'm eating, and then I go to sleep afterwards, and then the next early part of the morning. Keep in mind, they are getting my blood work and sticking me to death. I can't even tell you how many times I've been stuck. I still kind of have some bruises. I don't know if you can tell in here, but yeah, they're starting to clear up now. It's been about 2 weeks, but I had an IV here and it's still sore. And then this one, I had one. You can't really tell now. It's went away, but I had a bruise here. Yeah, they stuck me here. And I was stuck all over the place. My husband's mom, when I got to the hospital, to the transfer facility, and so she's there with us, and so she knows the situation, and we asked them about putting her in an incubator and all of that, and treating her in the NICU, and they said that there was absolutely nothing they can do. So I called my mom, tell her, come, because I don't know if I'm going to have her tonight or tomorrow or whatever, because the other doctor, a different one, told me you can wait and see if you can hold her in for longer, or also if I wait too long and then my body gets an infection and I end up with sepsis, then my husband will lose me and her. And then my third option, he said, well, it wasn't really an option, that pretty much nature would take its course. And by this point, the catheter's out now. They took my catheter out. And they were like, well, we want you to go and use the restroom. Well, I went and I peed first time. I went and I peed the second time. And then I peed a third time. And this third time, I felt a lot of pressure and something dropped. And I held it in place. I was like, oh my God, something's not right. So, I get them, they come in, they have me lay back down. And at this point, my brother's coming, my mom is coming. It was my mom, my stepdad, my brother, my grandma. They're all coming. And I'm in active labor now. So I'm laying in the bed, hurting as all get out. It's probably now, it was around 3. What I thought was weird was, even though that she wasn't near full term, you would think that the doctors would stay in the room, but they didn't stay in the room. The nurse would come and get my blood pressure and temperature and crap, and then would leave. And then the one would come back and check on me and be like, do you want the epidural? And I'm like, no. And then she'd leave, and then she'd come back and she's like, do you want anything for pain or whatever? And then she'd leave, and I'm just like, is anybody gonna stay in here? But I don't know. That's just my concept. But I didn't get the epidural with her. She said, well, with you hurting and that we can't do anything, and basically that she's not going to make it. She's like, I don't want you to also be in pain as well, so do you want any pain medicine? So they gave me Dilaudid, and it eased it a good bit. And my contractions started coming closer. And at this point, I'm really hot, so they bring me a box fan to put near my face. And I feel like I'm about to pass out. And then the next thing I know, I feel like I have to puke. And I know I'm going to puke. And I was so worried. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to choke on my own vomit. But my husband brings me a bag. And as soon as I puke into the bag, she shoots out. And all I feel is hot liquid going down my legs. And I was like, something came out. I don't know if it's the sack. I don't know if it's hurt. I don't know, you know. And I puke again. And it's just going. And my husband's there. They get her. They clamp the umbilical cord. My husband gets to cut the cord, and he's holding her. And the nurses are pressing on my stomach to try to get the placenta out. And she was so tiny. I only got to have maybe just a couple seconds with her on my chest, because I started having another contraction because they gave me medicine to induce the labor, then to get the placenta out. And so I just handed her back to my husband. I was not even in the right mind to even think. I ended up saying, long story short, my story's not short. I lose 1 liter of blood, and they have to take me to have a D&C, which is known as a dilation and curettage, or curettage. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but so they have to go in and scrape the contents of my uterus and all of that out. So they ask me if I have asthma or anything, and which I do. And so instead of putting me under, they have to give me an epidural. So even though I didn't get it with her, I ended up getting it with the procedure. And I had her also at 5:09 p.m. on January 31st, 2021. So I went into labor around 3 and had her at 5. So it was about 2 hours. When I go to have the procedure, I remember looking at the clock across the room, and it was like 6 or 6:30. I don't remember exactly, but I'm hurting, and the pain medicine they gave me made me so sleepy, and I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. And the doctor goes to put the epidural needle in my back, and he's like, I'm putting the needle in now. Sit still and don't move. And the nurse had me hold my forehead on her shoulder. And I'm like, okay, so I do that. And as soon as he puts the needle in, I get another contraction. And I try so hard not to move. And I can't even describe the pain. But the needle itself, I don't even think was that bad. It was the contractions more than anything. But the needle, when he put it in, I felt some pain in my lower right side of my back. And he's like, do you feel pain anywhere? Like, where's it at? I'm like, on the right side, whatever. And he's like, okay. And I'm just like this. Like, I'm struggling to stay awake. Like, it was ridiculous. By then, they had me lay down, and I could feel my feet and my toes and my feet going numb. So I was like, okay, it's kicking in. Well, I ended up going to sleep. Yeah, during the procedure. I was in the procedure room for an hour, because when I woke up, it was 7:30. I think it was 7:30, almost 8. And before I woke up, I had been asleep an hour now. Keep in mind, But my dream was literally like 1 to 2 seconds. So I probably didn't dream up until that last minute. But I had opened my eyes, and I wasn't in bed or anything. I was standing. I was standing somewhere, and I opened my eyes, and all I hear is, "Mommy?" And I turn like this to look behind me, and swear to God, it looks like I'm looking at myself, but not exactly like me, but I know it's not me. And so I instantly knew that it was her. And as soon as I looked to turn and look at her, I woke up, and which sucked because I only got 1 second with her. She looked about maybe 1 or 2 or so. And then they cleaned me up. They put me in recovery. I'm in recovery from like 8 to 10:30. And my husband goes in there with me for about an hour or so, or whenever, because I don't remember exactly how long. But then I finally go back with them, and since my whole situation, they ended up allowing everybody in the room. So it was me, my husband, my mom, my stepdad, my brother, my grandma, and my mother-in-law. So all of us was in my room. They had her wrapped up in this little thing, and they let me hold her and everything. And the people want to come and give me my daughter's birth certificate / death certificate and blah, 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 or whatever. And my husband told me, him and everyone in the room that was there when I was gone in my whatever, and from when I had her up to then, that my husband said that her heart was beating. He was feeling her chest and everything, and watching her chest rise and fall or whatever for about 2 to 3 hours after I had her. And he said he was begging them and begging and pleading for them to please do something, please save her, do something, anything. And I don't know if it's because the doctors were worried about being sued or anything, but I'm not going to list the doctors on here or where I went to or anything. But if any of the doctors or nurses ever come across this video, I want you to know that I wish you had done something. I wish you had done something, anything. Anything. I feel like if you're a doctor, do not do the bare minimum of trying, at least trying, and not just standing around and just looking at my husband and telling him there's nothing that you can do. Absolutely nothing. Honestly, how do you sleep at night? I couldn't do that. If I was I would literally lose my license. Throw away 8 years of school, whatever, to try. Because I know if it was yours, if it was your child on the line, you would have done something. You would have done everything that you could to help them. And oh, you don't know how bad that I do wish that you would feel my pain. I do. But at the same time, I don't wish this on anybody. And I don't want anybody to fucking tell me just because she was 18 weeks or I was 5 months pregnant that she was not alive and she was not my child. She was, and she is. Her heart was beating inside of me. And I tried so hard to keep her there. I didn't want to let her go. I'm recording this on Friday, February 19th, 2021. I would have been 21 weeks. So next week, if I was able to have carried her till then, they could have done something. Or said that they could. Because she was almost 6 ounces and 8.5 inches long. But she was tiny, so I don't think she would have been big enough for them to even do anything. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I just hold my little girl back so bad. And I don't know how many people are going through the same thing. Oh God, oh God, I would trade places with her so bad. If it were up to me that day, it would be her here, not me. If I had the choice. But I didn't. I don't wish ill on anybody. Even the doctors and nurses. I just wish you had done more. You could have done more. I know you could have. I'm tired of people telling me that there was nothing they could have done. Or they tell me that there's nothing the doctor... You don't know. You weren't there. Especially the ones that don't know this situation or ever been through a situation like this. Don't tell me that you know how I feel, because you don't. I'm so tired of hearing that. And I'm tired of hearing about when I'm gonna have another one. And it's been only 2 weeks since I've had her. I'm still grieving over my first child. I feel like people are telling me to replace her or something, and there's no one, not even my second child will replace her. They are their own person, and nobody will ever replace her. In 2 weeks, she'd be a month old now. But if she were still inside of me, I should be feeling her kick and move, and I didn't get any of that. I didn't get the luxury of feeling her, and I wish I could. I wish I knew what it felt like. I wish I could still feel her. Sometimes I feel like I am still, and I'm not, and I know I'm not, and then sometimes I don't feel like it. But I want to so bad. I wish I could understand. And I grew up in a Christian household, but hearing and dealing with what I've dealt with these past couple weeks, I don't know what to believe in anymore, because everybody keeps telling me it was God's plan. God has a reason, and this and that, and God this and God that, and I'm just like, where was he when I begged and begged and prayed so hard? So hard for him to let me have her, just her. I wouldn't have any more kids if I could at least just have her. Or I told him I would go back to church. I've been out for a long time now. I said I would go back. That this was my promise, that I would go back if you save her for me, please. And he didn't. Instead, he took her from me. He took her, and all I can think is this, I hope that she's in a better place and she's not feeling any pain or anything, or feeling like I abandoned her, or feeling like I abandoned her, or that I didn't care about her, and I did. I wanted her to stay. I wanted her to stay inside of me for as long as possible. I'm sorry if that was not this whole time in the video. This is our story. And I want her, my grandpas, my great-grandparents, my husband's great-grandparents, and his grandparents, everybody that's up there. If it is real, and if she is with you, will you take care of her for me until I get there? Her name is Charlotte May Garcia. Charlotte after the town that my husband used to stay. And because it's known as Queen City, I wanted to name her that. And then my dad's sister that I was named after, her name was Elena May, and she passed in July, this past July, from COVID, and she was only 40-something, I believe. And I feel honored to name her after her, since I was named after her. And also now she's up there with her. And I never got to meet her. We bought all these clothes and all these things for her, and I can't bring myself to do anything with them. I just gonna keep them in memory of her. Let me go and fix my face. Okay, that's better. I didn't expect to cry, but I'm sorry about the rant and venting earlier, but I need it about at least once a week now. But so for my future pregnancies and everything, I have to go, after I find out I'm pregnant, I have to go at 10 to 11 weeks and have a stitch put in my cervix so that it doesn't happen again, and I'll be considered a high-risk pregnancy. And they say that, excuse me, that there's nothing that me or the doctors could have done to find out if I had it or not. But other than that, everything was fine. Everything was perfect. I can't think of anything else at the moment. My mind's kind of all over the place right now. But if there's anything I forgot, I'll add it into the video later. But I'll also insert some of her ultrasound pictures towards the end of this video. And in another video, I'm more than likely going to post the pregnancy announcements and the pictures from the gender reveal and the video of the reveal all on a separate video, or separate videos, separate from this one. And this video seems like it's all over the place, and I apologize, it's not a more structured video like I normally have it, but this one was kind of just from what I can remember. And if I'm missing anything, I'll tell you, or I'll upload it. But other than that, Charlotte and May Garcia, I just want you to know that we love you and we miss you, and we can't wait to meet you again, and we can't wait to see you again, because this isn't goodbye. It's just, I'll see you later. We love you.